He's going, well, I don't know whether I'll win or not. He's a little bit sneaky. Okay, so we've got Jon Jones here. Jon Jones. Jon Bones Jones, I'm told.
One question for Jon Jones. Could you please stand up?
Uh-oh.
Do you really think you could win this fight?
Okay, so the moment he stands there, he does that gesture of I'm bigger than you thought I was. Then he does what we often call a reptile, a lizard press, which is puts his hands down on the table. That's a suppressive gesture. And again, the idea of that gesture is to show, look at my upper body strength and look how I would push people to the ground. This is outside of fighting. People do this on a daily basis when they're trying to look aggressive, when they're trying to suppress other people. We'll see these kind of gestures. So it kind of does this kind of roar, an odd gesture because it's quite out of control. Would have been putting a huge strain up here to be roaring with your hands up, your arms up here rather than down here where you'd be able to push from your diaphragm. So I'm unsure at this point, again, how comfortable he is in this situation.
Okay, so check this out.
But now, this is March 19th, 2011. That's true smile. He's very happy to be there. He's buoyant, he's got that kind of light in his eyes, he's vibrant there. He's doing a lot of eyebrow flashes, which is saying, I recognize this place.
And I just felt really good after that. I was like, I gotta win this fight. I got the hard work, dedication, and now I got karma on my side. So it was...
Oh, I think he's won. Look, there's a trophy. Yeah, of course. I should be looking out for that kind of thing. Interesting. So he's decided not to do that classic pose of fists up. It's like, I don't need to show my fists, hands behind my back. So this is he's taking a position of vulnerability there by putting his hands behind his back. He's not ready to defend himself, he's open. He's going, well, I don't know whether I'll win or not. He's a little bit sneaky because he's enjoying the idea of, will I win, will I not win? But ultimately, he is incredibly confident about winning because he's not raising any of the usual gestures of, I'm a fighter. I'm not conforming. I don't have to even put my fists up to win this one. I just show up.
205 for the champion!
It's interesting, pointing the top of his head into his face. You know, looking at the top of somebody's head, in some cultures seen as an insult. Hence, in some cultures, you wear a head covering so that, you know, any deity above you doesn't have to see the top of your head.
Joe, I'm just happy you and everybody can be here to witness this. You're going to tell your kids that he was real.
Okay, he's using this signal again. It goes right back to the days of the gladiators, of do they live or do they die? Interesting thing to do, simply because I guess we're used to the fighter being supremely confident, and here he doesn't show any of those usual signifiers of confidence. Doesn't put his fists up. Shows the guy his head instead of his chin. Asks the audience, am I going to win or am I going to lose? It's quite unusual. He's going side onto him. So he's not even giving him the status of, I will show my full body onto you. He's going, I'm not even in the same place. I'm off somewhere else. I'm not in the same territory. Again, very dismissive. The other guy goes to touch the trophy. The touching of something of status, of worth, is often the show of ownership. He's going, I'm going to own that. moves away, sidles over, goes, no, this is never going to go into your territory. He takes it away from his territory.
You know, he has knockout power. He's a guy who brings it. He's a guy who...
Ooh, what's happening now? So... Okay, a lot of downward inflection in his voice on this one. A lot of shaking of the head. Not the same optimism, not the same smile with him. He lost there for me that sense of liveliness, that sense of pleasure. There was lots of downward inflection in his voice, which tends to mean a pessimism, a depression. Oh, now he's looking this guy in the eye. Okay, now he's actually squaring off to this guy. Looking him in the eye. This has become a little more evenly matched. Oh, he's dropped his trophy down by his side. So now, yeah, so I don't know, there's some different stuff there. Again, not as optimistic here. Not that trophy doesn't belong on his shoulder so much anymore. This person is getting closer to getting that trophy. That's gone all over the place now, hasn't it? So he didn't like it that they bumped heads there. He pushes him off at the shoulders, which ultimately is not so aggressive because it's a very well protected area, the chest area, and the whole thing falls to bits.
I made the wrong decision, and it's something that I live with every day.
It scared me. It really scared me because
I started thinking about the fact that I could go to jail for the rest of my life.
Did it get to that point for you?
Like suicidal?
You know, these things happen, yeah.
No,
okay.
no way.
Yeah, it's always very difficult with videos like this, where somebody is being interviewed essentially around their honesty, because this person's had many interviews. He's clearly good at being able to create a persona. So it's always very hard to work out, is this person being truly honest? And because we're all good liars when we need to be. So, you know, by locking his hands behind his back, he keeps him self-controlled, he keeps his hands controlled. By walking along while being interviewed, there's a sense of control there, and not give any tells of how honest or not they might be being.
Morning, Your Honor. Nancy Hollander, Frank Davis here for Mr. Jones.
Well, you don't need to be an expert in body language to know usually what that orange shirt means. Lip suppressors there, licking of the lips, tension, uncertainty. Yeah, this is not a situation that he's at all used to. You know, ultimately the whole setup here is to get somebody to conform to new behaviors by deciding what they wear, constricting how their body moves.
Oh, man. I want to first start by apologizing to all the fans,
all the fans who came out to support me for UFC 200.
And you can see from the amount of movement that happens there how uncomfortable the body gets with big emotions. They're difficult to control, I guess, to the extent whereby he'll leave with his head hung down, which is a classic show of shame.
I've just been chilling out, taking care of myself. So I'm still the youngest guy in the division that's in the top 10. And that should be a scary thought for a lot of these guys.
The arms spread out there. Again, very vulnerable. Showing a lot of height dominance and size dominance.
The goal here is to finish the fight. I want to be the first person who makes DC quit inside that octagon, and I believe with all my heart that it's going to happen. God bless you guys. You guys be good.
What do you say to that?
Well, our past is something that none of us can escape. And I've definitely done a lot of things that were just flat out stupid throughout my early 20s.
So you can see the big difference there between, look, what's happening here, minimizing the size of his body. You know, hands on his lap, tucked in, and where you get the maximization of the body size in victory. So that's a good generalization in body language, is when people maximize how much space they're taking up, huge amount of confidence and taking up of territory, and when they minimize the space that they're taking up, often a show of unconfidence and that they don't deserve the territory. Obviously in shame, as you saw before, the head hangs down so that you don't even have the height dominance anymore. You don't deserve the height status.
Throughout my whole entire MMA career, I've always been an advocate, like going out of my way to talk about being totally against being totally against performance-enhancing drugs, totally against it.
So an interesting story there with Jon Jones. You got somebody right at the start of the career who isn't used to this environment, doesn't really know quite what to do, and then finds this way of being very different, very unusual, not having the usual poses, the usual sequences that others would use. Then ultimately there seems these defeats that happen, but clearly from the story I've been told, not within the fighting, within the rest of his life. So I wonder, you know, when I see him hanging that trophy down low, it's his trophy, but why is it almost dragging on the ground? Is there something else going on in his life at the time which isn't about the fighting? And then we seem to get these victories and defeats and victories and defeats, but ultimately not in the fighting. So extraordinary to see what can be underneath that body language in other parts of people's lives. It's not always going to be about the fight. It can be about the psychology that's going on behind in the rest of the life. So make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to MMANation.com.